I was asked by my friend, the great man Subi, about some of the things around free trade and leaving the EU post-Brexit. So we're going to assume that it's a Canada-style deal, because if it's WTO, then it's not going to be fun times for anyone. But if we ignore the divorce bill and all of that stuff, so from what I've seen of the CETA deal, there will have to be border checks. The BBC and other fact-check organisations say that there will be potentially border checks within the Irish Sea. I can bring that up. Stephen Barclay, the Brexit minister, said there will be minimum targeted interventions designed to prevent, for example, the trade in endangered species. So what that means is there's going to be border checks, there's going to be admin problems. So it's not going to be frictionless as it is now. And that's between the UK and Northern Ireland and also potentially the Republic of Ireland. So there will be border checks, even though Johnson says that, yeah, don't worry, call me and I will deal with the problems. Simply not the case. So what do you think some of the implications of that is?
So first, border checks means that it means more checking, and now with the amount of imports, exports that the countries do, we need scanner machine or X-ray machines, which we know are a lot of money. So this will cost the country. As we discussed with you before, it takes time to install them first, to check them. So it's not just 1 year; it will take time. So in order to start working, I guess human power will be used. So it means more people have to be hired for the frontiers and for customs to provide this check-in. So again, it means extra work and also extra training. First, do we have enough people that know how to do this within UK, or shall we hire someone external from our country to show us how to do this? So it will cost some money, it will cost some time for sure.
And if we look at the Norwegian-Sweden border, we can see that it takes around 20 minutes. The average wait time for each truck is 20 minutes until they're back on the road. The border length is about 1,000 miles, which is quite long. And so this includes 20 minutes. This includes roughly 10 minutes waiting time, 3 to 6 minutes of handling time, and the time spent off the road. So what that means is that it's decent, but it's not as good as it is now. You need people checking them, and if there is any problems, then your truck's off the road and you're going to have to wait a good few hours, unlike it is now. I mean, they do check stuff on occasion, but generally it's pretty efficient. And if we look at it, I did see it somewhere. Where is it gone? I think it's 10 times the amount of trucks come through Dover and Calais compared to Norway and Switzerland.
Again, the UK's population is much higher than Scandinavia.
Yes, and we buy a lot more things as well, so it says.
Yeah.
The main border crossing at, I can't pronounce that word, it's one of the customs shows. Norwegian words are hard. So they deal with 1,300 heavy goods vehicles every day, which is less than a tenth of the number that passes through Dover. So we're going to need a lot more lanes, a lot more scanners, and a lot of people to deal with this.
Maybe extra points, maybe extra customs to be opened.
And this is going to be a lot of money.
That will cost.
And so taxes. Where's the money going to come from? That's what they say to every left-wing thing. So I asked the honourable gentleman Boris Johnson, where will the money come from? Because it's going to cost a lot, and we still have to pay the divorce bill if the withdrawal agreement goes through. So that 350 million not going to help in this situation, even though it's not even that amount for a start. So yeah, that's a big problem. And even if we do sign a CETA agreement, as we discussed a couple of minutes ago, you can put quotas on these things. So the CETA deal means that EU exports on cheese to Canada is raised from 18,500 tonnes to 31,972 tonnes. So anything over that gets hit with a tariff.
Yes, so it means that the consumption will be affected, and definitely the prices. So people will either have to substitute what they consume, or they will have to cut and substitute with just another material, other things to eat, if not cheese.
And tariff-free quotas on corn is limited by the EU, so it was raised from 0 to 8,000 tonnes over 5 years, and obviously these things can change because of the nature of the agreement. So I've got the numbers in front of me, I'll just read some out to you. So like we discussed earlier, road vehicles, we export 17 billion pounds worth of road vehicles, and we import 46 billion pounds worth of road vehicles. So say, for example, if the EU wanted their vehicles to be more competitive within the EU, they can stick a quota on that.
Yes.
And they're obviously the bigger power, and they can sell more cars domestically, more cars built in Germany. And obviously it works the other way around as well. But that means manufacturing will be reduced definitely. So then they'll just cater to the domestic markets, which is both of us, really. Because if you think about it, Nissan in Sunderland, if they're like, oh crap, they're going to hit us with, a 10% tariff over a certain amount of cars exported, that means we can't export that many cars. So we're going to move to, Portugal, somewhere nice,
But you can look from another point of view. Because UK imports more than they export in these terms, it means that actually the productivity can increase here. But again, depends what type of cars are demanded here, because as you said, what is produced here might be wanted in Europe, and what is produced in Europe people want here. So maybe they have to change some of the ways that they operate in to fulfill the expectations of the UK market.
And we have medicines here, so we import £10 billion worth of pharmaceuticals, and so that's how much we export, and we import £17 billion worth of medicines. And the thing with medicines are, if you change the certain types of medicines you take, even if they're within the same thing, so say like when you take antidepressants, one type of them, and then you have to substitute with another brand, it can cause you problems. Same with insulin as well.
It does, because these are how do you call them, hormones, and this affects the behavior and actually the reaction of the body.
And so what that means is that if quotas and things are put on, it's going to hit both of us. But it hits a lot more because we import a lot more, and the EU do manufacture a lot of medicines. And there's some other things here like raw materials. It says petroleum and petrol products. So I'm assuming we import crude oil and then we export, petrol refined or diesel refined. So that could be problematic as well, depending on how things go. But the CETA deal isn't, this great thing that people talk about. And obviously the UK is a service-based economy mainly. We're not a manufacturing superpower anymore. And so the CETA deal does give access to some Canadian services, but the problem with that is that it's not total access like we have now.
Yeah, and again, services, it's big companies, but because it's services, it's not that expensive to relocate to any other country. Because
Which they've done.
Yeah, but if you have production lines, that's going to be a bit more expensive, that it will hit harder. But services, you can move it anywhere. A lot of phone calls centers are in East Asia now, so definitely can be relocated from here, and the hit will come onto UK.
And we've seen Sony Europe leave the UK as well. Just something I'll miss, because I do like Sony. They do some good stuff sometimes.
Mitsubishi or Nissan? Which of this one?
They've really kicked up a fuss. I think it's not Boeing, it's one of the plane manufacturers. They've left as well.
Yeah.
They were like, even Tucson's like, oh, they're not going to leave, or we don't need them, and then they were like, okay, bye, and they went. And then I think Tucson was going to offer Nissan a special kind of deal, or one of the Japanese companies, a special kind of deal, and they said that, look, we can't deal with this uncertainty anymore, we're going.
Yeah, they moved the production line.
Yeah, and so they moved back to Japan, because obviously the EU signed the deal with Japan, so some of it went back to Japan, which is quite interesting. But what we can see is that trade is obviously bilateral, and if anyone puts some tariffs on the other person, it can be problematic. But at the same time, we know that the WTO rules on tariffs are that if you set tariffs on one thing, it affects that one product regardless of where you buy it from, unless you have a deal in place. So say you put a 30% import tariff on lamb, that means any lamb you buy from, be it America, if there's no deal with America, and also say with Argentina, the tariff price is the same. And so if we put the tariffs to zero or put them at very low, why would you do a deal with a country that has 5% tariffs? You've given them already what they wanted. The whole point of a trade deal is to lower or get rid of tariffs.
Yes.
So what would be the point if we said, oh, we're going to lower our tariffs to zero? Obviously that's going to make a lot of beef imports a lot cheaper. But then Canada say, look, you're doing us all that we wanted. Why would we do a deal with you? It makes no sense.
Yes.
And we can say, oh, we're Great Britain, we're the greatest country, and we should own you, and blah blah blah. But they were like, okay, who cares?
Yeah, it's history anyway. And again, what type of profit will it give to them? What's the point to do that if you're not gonna get anything back from that?
And so, you can see that the CETA deal doesn't solve all the problems. A no-deal Brexit would be.
It will be hit hard.
No, both sides will be hit harder. It's just a question of who is going to get hit harder, and I think it'll be us. Because people like what they like. People buy. There's still the same things. Like the video I watched of the Canadian cheese seller, he was saying that one of the problems with the CETA deal was that because the cheese imports from the EU has increased, people are going to buy, the same cheeses that they like from the EU, and it puts Canadian cheese manufacturers in problems.
Yes.
And so all the branded stuff we get from the EU, wherever it is, wherever wine, they buy, people like that particular brand, they're still going to buy it, essentially, even if the price does go up.
But depends how much it will go up.
It depends, yeah. It depends, because I've seen some of the tariffs, 30, 40% tariffs, which are insanely high.
So if you, let's say your favorite thing goes in price twice or 3 times, would you still buy that?
But the thing is, if we put the tariffs down, if the UK puts the tariffs down, that means you can still buy your favorite product from France. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be maybe slightly more expensive, but if you're, say, a French person who likes, I don't know, red Leicester cheese, for example, if you put a 40% tariff on that or 30% one on that, your cheese gone up in price. It's not going to compete with other cheeses. You might like the red Leicester cheese against Swiss cheese and French cheese and whoever else makes cheese, but if it goes up in price, are you going to buy it? It depends how much you like it, really,
And again, the income. I'm definitely sure that the income won't increase, so disposable income is the same. Things are higher in price, so it means people will look for alternatives that will give them like enough money to buy what they want, or enough to survive.
And we can see the impact of doing a trade war and tariff war with the US and China, because the US has taken a major hit because China have hit them strategically. They've hit soybean farmers and they've struggled, and so for all his bluster, he's taken a massive hit on the great trade war, and the US is suffering for it because China can unilaterally say that, okay, we're going to end all imports of said product, say American soybeans, and no Chinese people can buy it because the nature of the government is very authoritarian. If I say you're not going to be able to buy this, you're not going to be able to buy it. But in America, even if they put, say, a 30% tariff on a Chinese-made a product or a part, especially if that product or part isn't made in America anymore, you still have to buy it from China. You don't have a choice. And so what happens is the price gets put onto the consumer. So you're going to pay 30% more, or a certain price more, if said product goes up because of a tariff. And so that's the nature of tariffs and that sort of problem, where even if we do sign a free trade deal, it doesn't solve all the problems that we have now. And I think that answers the question of the implications around free trade. And obviously, there are problems with outsourcing, like we discussed with the NAFTA example.
Yes.
Of if you outsource cars, the manufacturing of cars from Detroit, which happened, it gets sent to Mexico. Then you've lost a well-paying, upper working class, maybe even middle class job if you're a manager at said car manufacturing place. And so that affects the local economy and also the wider economy. If said person gets a lower paying job, that affects their happiness and personal satisfaction, but also it affects how much the local economy gets through taxes. And
it's
obviously,
rotation.
yeah,
Circle.
if you have less disposable income, what that means is you're not going to be able to go out to eat, which or buy things or whatever, and it affects the local economy.
Yeah, because you're not consuming as much as you used to do before, so it affects the overall economy of the place where you live.
And I think that's one of the things that did Detroit in was the mercy. If you watch the 8 Mile film, you see Eminem, helping to manufacture cars and also freestyling on some fools. But yeah, that stuff's gone or going, and Detroit is not the best place to live. There's a lot of gang violence and things there, and I think you can attribute part of that to the outsourcing of jobs, which has happened in the EU. I think the UK has lost some jobs because of outsourcing. I think it's like Slovakia or Slovenia is like the biggest car manufacturer in the EU.
Slovakia mostly.
Is it Slovakia?
Yeah. Skoda.
And Skoda, yeah. But at the same time, we've seen companies come into the UK, like Japanese car manufacturers come into the UK because...
And Nalgan.
Huh?
And Nalgan.
Oh, no, they can't, yeah. That's not my point, okay? But my point is that because we have free trade with the EU, Japanese companies come in because of our low corporation rates and, the standard of living, whatever their reasons were. They've come in and they've set up shop here. And obviously now they're going.
Yes.
But that's not the point. My point being is that, it has lost some jobs in some industries, but also gained jobs from other places.
Yes.
Sony Europe was here. Obviously that creates, a decent amount of jobs. But now they're gone too. But I think that wraps up this question of, the benefits of free trade.
Yes,
I think,
yes, it does.
And sort of the implications we're going to have now that if the trade war does break out.
It's to look at what details are in that trade, as you said.
In
Is
the
that
CETA agreement,
quota?
yeah. And Canada aren't as big as an economy as we are, but our trade with the EU, I think, is far higher than Canada's trade with the EU, even now. And so that's going to be on the table. and obviously you have to get the trade deal through every EU country, and even smaller things as well, smaller like groups. And so if there's no fishing rights on the table, Norway can say, sorry, bro, we're not. Can Norway veto deals? I think.
To do the.
Can Norway, like, if there's a trade deal, can Norway say no?
To be honest, Norway have a voice. Yes.
They have a voice.
Yes, they are. So
I see.
again, UK can follow very example as they do, but there are still quotas with Norway.
But like,
involved.
say if the UK were going to sign a trade deal with the EU, could Norway say no, we don't want this, the
No.
veto?
No, they're not part of the.
They don't have a
parliament.
veto, but they do have a voice, right?
Yes, they do.
But Sweden could. Sweden could, like, don't
Sweden,
worry.
yes, Sweden is part of European Union.
We'll stand for our Scandinavia, but because obviously they have fishing,
Yes.
they have big fisheries as well.
Yeah.
So they might even not, might not even care much about Norway. They could say that.
Sweden is actually a big player in EU, even
it?
if they're not very like famous for big actions or small actions. But they are quiet, but they do their job.
Powerful Nords.
Yes,
The Nords.
powerful and quiet.
Yeah, it's the most scary kind of person. But yeah, I think that covers it. Anyways, we're going to ramble on far too long, and there's other questions that I wanted to